Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well and you've had a fantastic week. We've got beautiful sunshine here today and it is just glorious. Chilly because winter's on its way, but very, very good indeed. So here we continue with Rick the Muse 2. This is a photograph that he has allowed. Well, he's allowed me to use all of his photographs. I'm very, very grateful to him. And we shall continue. So, as usual, it's a 2H graphite pencil, a 2B, a 3B. I have a couple of blending stumps, and I have this Fantastics, which is meant to be used for ink. However, I found it to be an amazing blending tool for graphite. Tombow mono eraser, and our ever trusty kneaded piece of kneaded eraser. So I'm going to go in and start blending here. I want to get this likeness basically of this face that he has pulled and taken, because obviously that's what we are going for. We are going for a likeness, and we want to get as close to that as we possibly can. It's the whole purpose of drawing. Well, for me it is. It may not be for you. However, for me, I love improvising, not only improvising, but I also just love ensuring that the photograph that I am working from, the similarity, my drawing becomes a similarity to it. And your blending stump is a fantastic tool for using to make sure you get all these beautiful shadows in without laying down any extra graphite. It just lays down a beautiful soft rendering of graphite that you can use later on for your shadows. Going to go in and I'm going to do his eyes. I mean, we know that we always know that we lift out afterwards, and we obviously use our erasers for that. I'm just going over, I'm just making sure that I am getting a very even layer of graphite where I see all of these shadows. Just let me move my bracelets out of the way. They are clanging onto each other, and I think it's nothing worse than watching a tutorial with somebody's jewelry clanging away in the background. Right, so now that we have that laid down, we're now going to go into the various areas and start defining and lifting out where we need to. And ensuring that we have this scrunched up look that he has managed to photograph so well. Oops. There goes my, I have put my iPad onto 2 minutes, so it's going to keep on doing that. I just found that it just runs out of battery so quickly, so I decided to bring it down to 2 minutes, so the battery will at least last a little bit longer. Right, so we want to make sure that we get this eye. You can see that he has opened his eyes quite wide, and he has a beautiful outline. The bottom here, you can see that there's a slightly dark shadow where his bottom lid is touching. We're going to get that iris in, and we can shade that in. You can see eyelashes across the top here, we are going to attempt the same. He has a beautiful shaped eye. I love how it comes straight across and around into the side. I don't have that shape quite right. It should go slightly more down. You can see that it's at an angle. So I'm just going to lift that out. And as always, when we go into a corner of an eye, it is darker because it's picking up shadow. And the top lid is across into here and follows that line around the eye. So just making sure that we get that. There we go. Now we've got all these wrinkles that come off of here, and I'm going to go back to my 2B because we don't want this to be too dark. We want to be able to work with it. So we're going to put that shadow in and extend where we see the shadow on the actual wrinkle, and we'll blend it out. There we go. This goes this way, and then it comes down quite sharply. We'll do that. So it's just such a beautiful face to draw. So much character. And there we go. We're already getting that wrinkled look just from adding in a few of these very, very slight shadows from this 2H. And this is where 2H is just really cannot be replaced by any other pencil, because it literally puts down just the right amount of graphite for you to be able to work with. And you can see that it doesn't fill it all in. Okay, we have a shadow across there which I have managed to fill in. It's funny today, I just don't feel like I have woken up yet. It's the most peculiar feeling. And yet it's so late in the day. It's just so weird. So forgive me for a couple of faux pas. But I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels like this on certain days. Let's take this out along the bottom here. So always have light reflecting off of the bottom lid, and I'm just going to take this out. So a bit of a light reflection here, and this is not quite as dark as I have made it. I'm going to go in with a stump. These stumps, I can't say that I'm very thrilled with them because the tips have completely broken down, and the whole point of a tip when you are going into eyeballs is to make sure that you are able to get into those areas that are difficult to get into. I'm just putting those in, and then I'm going to come across here, and this one here is not really for detail because this one I expect, I mean I know that it doesn't have a very good point at all. It's not the reason that I use it. We'll make these just a little bit darker. Just want to take this up just to get that look that he has. That. There we go. Comes all the way up to the top here. Right. I think that eye looks pretty good. Quite happy with that. Just as you can see, I'm doing a round blend here because I want to get that slightly rounded look that you see. This one here is straight, but that goes into the side of his nose, so I'm just making sure that I have that. Okay, so I'm happy with that eye. We might go in and deepen and darken it just a little bit more. Just want to get this more defined. There we go. And then we can take out that little bit of white. Right. And there's a little bit of white reflection here. We'll take that out. And we have a white reflection there. Okay, we will go back into this as soon as we've done the other eye. So I'll take that out because that is a bit of a reflection there. And then there's a reflection coming down here. These tombows are the most magnificent drawing tool. Literally, that is what I mean. When I say drawing tool, you can use them drawing just as much as you use a pencil. They're magnificent. So I remove this from here. I want that eyebrow that is popping out there, although I can see that I don't have his ear. His ear is high enough, so something whose eye is possibly, nope, his eye seems to be fine, so maybe his ear is closer to, does that look a bit better? Possibly does. So we'll remove that. And we will blend this inside here just to make sure we have that shadow. And then we're going to go down here with just doing this because that will give the viewer the impression that that is beard, which of course it is. It does come out here, and we'll get back into that. We're just filling in the areas where that beard is. We'll go back in and we'll make it look a bit more organic. So do I have that line? Yes, it does look like I do have it. That is correct. And then we have this light reflection here, and we have a light reflection here on his face. Okay, right, let's get into the other eye. Sorry, I know I'm faffing here and I keep saying we're going into the other eye and then I don't do it, but I just want to get a bit more depth going on the ear here. Keeps distracting me, and it shouldn't be. It should not distract you at all. Okay, ear done. Here, I just want to deepen some of these because we do have a very, very dark line that is popping out of this eyebrow, and to deepen that. There we go. This is not a straight line, it's actually his eyelashes that are breaking that, which is quite nice. So let's move on. Right, we're moving on. Let's go across to the next eye. So I'm just making sure that I have the distances correct. If I measure his, it's exactly right. So I am measuring from there to there. And remember that, well, I have said this to you before in other tutorials, but don't forget that human eyes are one eye apart. Animal eyes are more. So don't make the mistake when you do an animal portrait of making them the same distance, because they aren't. And it's a mistake that all beginners make. But I just want you to be aware of it so that you don't make the same mistake. Okay, so there's a lot of dark here and around that eyelid. And there's a lot of shadow here. There's quite a bit of shadow here underneath that eyebrow. So here again I'm using the 2B, the 2H. I'm pretty sure that you can pick it up from the video. And it's just purely to get those shades in without adding too much to the actual drawing all in one go. Because remember, with graphite we build the layers up. We don't go straight in. And sometimes it would be nice if I listened to my own instruction, believe me. I'm great, especially when it comes to charcoal. Then I'll just go straight in. But I should be listening to my own instruction, because it really is so much better to build up layers. I'm just removing this because I have too much shadow here. I'm just going back in. I want more of an organic line here. I don't want a great big graphite line there. Pencil line there. That's better. That looks much, much better. We have this dimple, or it looks like a dimple, in his cheek that I want to try and get. Right, let's start blending this out. We will go in darker here. This extends across there. And we have these. Right, I'm going to take my 2B. And this is extremely sharp. I don't like sharp pencils like this, and I'll tell you why. I just use it very, very lightly, because they damage your paper, and that you don't want. So if you sort of realize that you've made a mistake and you go back in and try to erase it, and then you lay down graphite again on top of it, because it's damaged the paper and the point has actually penetrated into the fibers, you end up with a line there. It's not very good. It doesn't look great. So I try very, very hard not to use such a sharp pencil. So if you find yourself in the same position that I am in, just make sure that you use it extremely lightly. You can see that I'm touching and flicking it off of the paper, which is the best way to use it, so that you don't damage anything, any of the fibers on the actual paper. So here I'm just shading it in, and I haven't turned the pencil. Generally I turn the pencil so that it stays more or less, you know, a point that one would want to use for detail and for drawing, but not too much of a point. But here I'm not turning it because I want to keep that blunt part. I don't want to damage the paper here. Okay, so let's do that. Got quite a sharp line here that goes down, or shadow. Quite a lot of shadow here. A lot of shadow here. And in here. let's do some blending again. As I said, I'm really not keen on this point. It just isn't a point. I'm going to see if I can find something else to use. Just give me a minute. Okay, so I've come back to this. Just going to blend that out. Just remember that eyeballs are round, so we need the shading to give them that impression. So I'm going to take this shading into this whole area here, very, very lightly, and then we'll lift it out once we start going into the detail. And add a little bit more graphite here while I've got it on my blending stump. Okay, so let's start lifting out. I've got a highlight across here that comes down. Take that out, and then we've got a definite highlight in here, and we have some coming in from the side here too. I want to get that. And then with a 3B, I'm going to go in and darken that top lid there, because it is dark. Just want to come in here and darken this here as well. It's got a very, very nice dark outline. And there is a shadow across the eye. It's just touching the top of the lid. And we'll lift out that. We'll lift out that light. And a bit here on this side as well. Okay. So this is where you start seeing that you need to add a bit more shadow to the other eye. But I think if you've done any of my other tutorials, you will know that we pick up and we add and we subtract, and as we go along we add detail in. That is just part of the drawing. This is a broken line because we have these eyelashes. There's one or two showing down there. Here we go. Just want to remove this from underneath his eye. We can go back in and smooth that out. And I think that we have managed to get quite a nice likeness with these eyes anyway, we will definitely come back in and make sure that we have all our shadows, especially as shadows, because that's what gives the portrait its pop. Again, on this side, we'll demarcate with a 2H here. This is too low, so I'm just going to take this out, put that back in again, and then just deepen that beautiful, I think it is a nice smile. This definitely comes in. Just want to get that. There we go, I've got that. So just want to get that down, and then we can start moving into the other areas. I just feel that this needs to come down lower. There we go, that's better. So I'm going to use the 2H. So let me get that. You can also damage your paper, just by the way, with too sharp 2H, and even going in too quickly or too hard with a 2H. So it really is best to use your pencils as lightly as you can and build up the layers. Yeah, that looks better. This eye is bothering me. Okay, it's going to go in and try and get this shape a bit better. Highlight comes all the way around here, and it doesn't matter if we take out too much because we can blend it back in. Take it out again. Let's get the 2H just to smooth it out a bit. And then we have a light reflection on this side, which we can take out. Okay, actually, you know what I'm not liking is I'm not liking how dark I have this outside area of the iris. So I'm going to just lift that ever so slightly with my tombow. I'd rather go in afterwards and sort that out than have, yeah, you see, I prefer that, but you may not. It's entirely up to you. I prefer that they sort of match each other in terms of tonal values, and that's what we want to do in the beginning. We just want to match our tonal values, and then as we build up we can enhance and add. Okay, so we have done the eyes. We still have a long way to go, a huge amount of way, whoopsie daisy, to go. Don't do that. That was Good thing I've got a lot of light here. I can just remove that. Okay, we still have a long way to go. And we will be having so much fun on this, because look at all these gorgeous grey wrinkles, these amazing, what I think are wise lines. So we need to make sure that we get that across to the viewer, that he has scrunched up his nose like this. And it's quite a feat, believe me. To get that across, but we shall endeavour. To portray that. By lifting and adding and taking out. I'm still using my 2H, and I'm doing that on purpose because I don't want to lay down too much graphite. I just want to make sure that I have everything where it's supposed to be. And that we can still lift where necessary, so that we have a really good likeness. This is what we will be doing. I'm pretty sure that we will be going back into it again to make sure that we get this correct. But as I say, use this as a drawing tool because it is absolutely marvelous. You can literally lift out in a drawing way, as if you're drawing, and it creates little lines exactly like a pencil. Gives you a super cool effect. Okay, there we go. So we have got that far, and I think once we've added in all the detail, this is not correct, so I'm just going to lift that out. And we have tremendous amount of shadow on this side, so I just want to make sure that I get that. You see what I did there now? I used the tip of this 2H, which is the wrong thing to do, and I'm pretty sure that I have now damaged my paper. Okay, that is where we are going to be today, and we will continue with this again next week. I hope you've had fun, and I hope you've enjoyed it. If you haven't drawn along, that's fine. Hope that you do pick up and carry on with your portrait if you have started this, and shall see you next week. Please like and subscribe to my channel. It helps a lot in keeping me going. And do tell your friends about it if you feel that they would benefit from it, because the more people that subscribe to my channel, the better I am able to continue going. Thank you so much, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Bye.